Hey there, I'm Christopher McClure from Wholeness Geeks, and welcome to Meditation Happy Hour. Happens every Friday at approximately 11 a.m. That's Mountain Time, and the post usually goes out first here on the Facebook Wholeness Geeks page. And what Meditation Happy Hour is where I share meditations, processes, perspectives, both traditional and modern. Today I'm going to be sharing what I call Soul Kernel 6. Now, I've been sharing over the last 10 months, 9 months or 10 months or so, a practice which I call Soul Kernel. And Soul Kernel came out of a hospital stay at the end of last year of 2023, the end of 2023, where I needed to go deeper in my life, and I needed to get to the gist of why I'm here. And this practice came up as a sort of a foundation for that trajectory forward. Now, the 9 months since then, I've this practice has matured, and really it's only been in the last few weeks where it just kind of like popped into this upgraded version, which I call 6.0. And I'll explain why the number 6 as we go along. So I'm going to just start in with what Soul Kernel is, and like I said, I've shared this before on Wholeness Geeks, on this Wholeness Geeks Meditation Happy Hour page, and I recommend, if you're completely new to it, and especially if you're new to meditation, that you go back and you listen to those previous posts. I will be going over the foundation of Soul Kernel today, but I'll be doing it quickly. So if you need more time on that, then go back and listen to the previous posts. So Soul Kernel is it's a meditation practice. It's a modality. It's something that I practice in my life, probably just a rough estimate, like 50% of my waking time. And it starts with the Dantian, which is the physical center of the body. It's 3 fingers below the navel and 3 fingers in. And I put my attention there, but I use a certain meditation object, a body cycle, to sort of anchor my attention there. And that body cycle I call pulse. Okay, so the way I see it, that it just in the natural kind of experience of the body, the human body, there's 3 body cycles. And by cycle, I mean something that kind of repeats, and it's just kind of ongoing. First one is respiration, breathing. And it's the easiest to pay attention to, and it's also the one that is you can control. But and another quality of it, and like these other 2, is that you can experience breathing anywhere in your body and even outside your body. So that's the first cycle. The second cycle is sensation. And there's many Buddhist Vipassana meditations that focus on sensation. Like breathing, you can feel sensation anywhere in your body and even outside your body. But it's harder to control sensation. And then what I would consider a subset of sensation is pulse. Now, the biggest example of pulse in the body is the heart beating. But lots of people, many people can, when you say, "Can you feel your heart beating?" And lots of people, without any kind of practice, they cannot do that. I found that the easiest place to feel pulse in the body is, I'm going to lower my screen a little bit here so you can see better. There's this place right here that's called the xiphoid process. Here's my sternum, the bone, right? And here's my rib cage. So there's like this triangle here, and just underneath the bone, it's pretty much right underneath the bone. If you put your finger there, I can actually feel my pulse, and I'm kind of thin, so if I stand in front of a mirror with my shirt off, I can actually see the skin kind of moving with the pulse there. Anyway, like respiration and sensation, you can feel pulse anywhere in the body or even outside the body. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that pulse, right? And you might need to practice this for a while before you can actually feel it down in the dantian, but that's where we're going to feel it. And we're going to anchor our attention through the pulse in the dantian. Okay, so that's two elements. The third element, the basic soul kernel practice that I've been practicing for 9 months, has been a 4-element practice. The third element is the 6-pointed star, the Star of David, the Seal of Solomon, the interlacing triangles. The interlacing triangles is, I think, the best description, because it is 2 triangles, an upward-facing triangle and a downward-facing triangle. And those 2 triangles are very symbolic, because the downward-facing triangle symbolizes involution, which is spirit coming into matter, and then the upward-facing triangle is evolution, or matter going back to spirit. And the soul kernel practice has been there's been an emphasis on the involution. And that's where this new upgrade, there's a balancing of the involution with the evolution. But anyway, the way that we bring this triangle into this practice, we're going to put this triangle, which is you could call this a yantra, right? A mantra is a repeating sound. A yantra is a repeating visual. And we're going to put that down in the dantian. But the way we're going to visualize this triangle is by successively moving around the sides of the triangle. We're going to start with the upper facing triangle but the base, and we'll focus on that, and then the right side of that triangle, the left side. Then we go to the base of the downward, the right side and the left side. Now, the way that we're moving along those sides of the triangle is driven by the pulse. In other words, we're sort of surrendering to the engine of the pulse, and so we wait for the pulse to kind of move us around the sides of these triangles. All right, so we have those 3 elements. They're all happening down in the dantian. So we have the dantian, the pulse, and the 6-pointed star. Now we're going to attach, or sort of layer on top of this movement around the sides of the triangle with the pulse in the dantian. We're going to layer on the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum. Okay, so that is a 6-syllable mantra. It's a Sanskrit mantra, and it what it means is the whole universe is found in the lotus of enlightenment. Essentially, that's what it means. So now we're not saying it out loud because I find it's hard to actually feel the pulse when you're talking, right? So we're just internal voices, right? And that's the practice. That's the basic practice of soul kernel. And like I said, that the soul kernel is it's there's a predominance of involutionary energy. In other words, it's how can we create a sort of like a portal for the soul, right? For the spirit counterpart of our being. How can we create a portal for that to come into our body, into our physical body? And the Dantian is the physical center of the body. Okay, so we have that. So because of other sort of epiphanies along the way, I realized that there was an extension of this that could happen. And so the next element we're adding is what I call the atlas. The atlas is something that's you find it in meditation. You might find it in dance or in sports. It's the tongue on the roof of the mouth. The I think there's two spots. There's what's considered the hard palate, which I think is forward, and there's more like there's like a bone there. And then there's the soft palate, which is more right up on the roof of the mouth. So putting your tongue there, what that does is it creates a location in the body, right? But it's sort of a way of connecting the body to the head, right? And so what we start doing, if we do that while we're doing soul kernel, we're kind of distributing this energy throughout the body, right? Even though it's still anchored in the Dantian, we're distributing it throughout the body. Okay, so as we distribute that throughout the body, now we come to this practice, which I call what the who. What the who. So what the who is, it's this realization that, if I've been meditating since I was 17 and I'm 69, so I've been meditating for 52 years. And somewhere along the line, this first kind of came into my awareness. I would say about more than 15 years ago. That, it's like if you meditate every day for 52 years, you develop this ability to kind of focus and look at things and gain insight, from a sort of a purified awareness. But at some point you realize that looking can turn around and you can look at who is looking. And this, I consider this as sort of a seminal practice and maybe the real sort of pinnacle of meditation. I think it's it's the crux of advanced meditation methods like Mahamudra or Dzogchen. But when you turn and you look at who's looking, you realize that the who is not like this stable, static thing. It opens up into infinity. It's like when you look at the back door opens, and you go out the back door. Um, and you can sort of get lost looking at going out the back door and looking what's back there. Uh, but with the soul kernel practice, right, there's this anchor to the physical body, to the physical realm, right? But using the atlas and the who, it creates this a bridge between matter and spirit. In other words, there's the element of evolution, of matter going back to spirit, comes in, while still maintaining that force of involution, of spirit coming into matter. So those are and then when you add those up, you've got the Dantian, you've got pulse, you've got the six-pointed star, you've got Mani Pad, right, the mantra, then you've got the atlas, and then you have what the who, that's 6, and that's why it's called Soul Kernel 6.0. All right, so we're going to actually practice. We're going to do 3 minutes and 33 seconds of this meditation, and then we'll come back and talk about this some more. And you might see me writing down some notes. So once again, the practice is mind and Dantian. And by the way, they say that if you put your mind in your Dantian, you cannot go crazy. Just an aside. Anyway, we have our mind in the Dantian with the pulse, and we're moving around the sides of the triangle with the pulse, with the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, and then we're adding the atlas, and then we're with that going on, we're opening the back door. We're examining the who of looking, and when you examine the who, you realize that there's really not a who, and that it's the what of the whole universe that's coming through, and that is the unique capability of human beings. That is our divine humanness, that no other species on Earth has that. Well, I don't know about like whales and dolphins, and but human beings have this ability to open up to the whole universe and have that be to embody that. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and practice this meditation for 3 minutes and 33 seconds. Here we go. Okay, we're back. All right, so some notes about this practice. Um, so when you add the atlas in, the star, it moves. I just call it star mobility. It kind of it it moves around. It's not something that's just um, it doesn't stay stuck in the dantian. It expands. It doesn't. You don't leave it as an anchor, right? It's not. It's staying anchored, but somehow it expands. It gets bigger and it changes. It changes shape and dimension, and that's all I'll say about that. Um, as usual, there's some what I call jolting. There's like a, and generally speaking, what I've jolting is when there's like new consciousness coming into the body, and it's kind of like landing. Um, so that's to be expected. Um, it's there's a kind of a dichotomy. uh, yeah, I mean, obviously, there's a dichotomy with this meditation, with this modality that there's it's like in the physical, and yet it's moving out of the physical, um, and there's another dichotomy that's sort of parallel, which is that when we bring attention up in the body, it tends to become more volitional, and yet the root of this practice, right? It's in the dantian, and it's in the pulse, and the pulse is the driver. It's the engine, and in order to experience the pulse, in my experience, is that you have to surrender to the pulse. So there's like this dichotomy of of will and surrender that's happening, and that I find that especially just right here in this meditation today, I find that it creates a certain there's an emotionality that kind of comes out of that, and it's kind of like it's like the divine human condition. I'm not going to say the human condition, could because um, it's the divine human condition, because it's the realization that we are so much more than just these bodies and this human experience. And it's like we it's like there's a natural compassion when you accept that, when you recognize that and you accept it and you embody that. It's like, whoa, this is like this is this is really we're I'm really big. We're really big. This is like really big, what we're designed to be. And so there's this kind of compassion, just to hold that whole experience. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And then just the last thing is that there's a when you bring the energy up, it gets closer to the eyes, and it becomes more visual, and so that it's easy for the star to start kind of like moving out into the world, right? And that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, so I want to talk just in kind of concluding. I want to just talk about why. It's like, if it's not obvious, why this practice? Why six soul kernel six? Why adding? Why combining the involution and the evolution? And what's the value of that? So there's an ancient text that comes from the Hindu tradition. It's called the Bhagavad Gita. And some of you may have heard of that or even read it and might be well familiar with it. And in this story, it's basically the story of there's this warrior, Arjuna, and it's like in media res, I think is the literary term, where you find yourself right in the middle of this thing going on. And so the thing that's going on is that Arjuna is like the captain of this army, and they're standing on one line. Their army is one line of warriors, and on the other side, there's another line of warriors, and on the other side are some of Arjuna's relatives, like uncles, and it's like this war, this battle, conflict has developed between families, and so he's standing there in his chariot, and the chariot driver is Krishna, and Krishna is actually a divine being, but he's like incarnate in this moment. He's incarnated into the chariot driver, and Arjuna is like, fuck, how do I can't fight my relatives. And so this whole conversation ensues. It's like the whole story is this conversation between Arjuna and Krishna, and basically, the gist of it all is that it's all God. All creation is God. It's all, and it's all Krishna, since Krishna is God. It's all the divine being, and but we each have our roles, our physical in the dream. It's all a dream, but in the dream we each have our roles. We each have our part to play, and and the lesson, is that in this drama, this great divine drama, we each have our parts to play, and yet we realize that it's all God. So there's like a transparency. There's a juxtaposition of the involutionary force. In other words, spirit comes into matter, and we find ourselves in these bodies with these particular roles to play, and at the same time, this with the matter is going back to spirit. In other words, we're realizing the transparency of this situation, and so that basically, I kind of call that the Arjuna epiphany, is just that we're here we are, we're doing the things we do as human beings, but we're divine human beings, and we realize that we are the whole universe. And so there's this balance of involution and evolution, and that's the reason for Soul Kernel. It's a practice. So then it's a practice in actively realizing that. And so with that, in this practice, what I've come to realize is that everything that happens, everything I do, is fodder for it's fodder for realizing the what of who I am. In other words, you might think, oh, this is such an important thing that I'm doing here, but it's just a way of realizing the what of who I am. So that's it. So I will put a chart uh, for Soul Kernel 6. I will put that as the thumbnail for this video, and I will share this video. It'll be not only in Wholeness Geeks Facebook page, but it'll be in the Wholeness Geeks Facebook group, in the Welcome to the Shift Show Facebook group, in the Gaiacore Facebook group, and I think that's all the groups. And so, if you want to, learn more about this, have discussions, even share your own meditations, join the Wholeness Geeks Wholeness Geeks Facebook group, and you can yeah, we can continue this discussion there. So thanks for listening. I'm Christopher McClure, and this has been Meditation Happy Hour. And yeah, go forth and use all your experience for so that you may realize the what of who you are.